Good afternoon, Youngstown. I think it's afternoon. Well, we're back again for another episode of the Belly Left Leadership Podcast. I'm your Superintendent, Jeremy Batchelor. Today I have a special guest that I'm excited to talk to about because we have some very special things that are going on in Youngstown. And this thing that we talk about is about leadership. It's about teamwork. And the person that we're going to talk to today has a very, very important role on the team, making sure that we are running the right plays, make sure that everybody knows their assignment, and make sure we're running it with repetition and running it to perfection and keep running it until they stop it. And so today we have our Chief Academic Officer. Some people might say, well, what is the Chief Academic Officer? So listen, we are a school district and a lot of things that we have to do. But the number one thing that people want to know is what are we doing about teaching and learning? What are we doing about curriculum? And we have renamed our department about 3 or 4 years ago when I was actually in the role. We kind of moved from curriculum to teaching and learning because that is really what we're about, making sure that we have good teaching going on and that our students and our scholars are learning and that we're continuing to learn as educators as well. And so we have Mr. Aaron Bouie III here. He is our Chief Academic Officer. So welcome, Mr. Bouie. Appreciate you being on.
Appreciate the invite. I finally got on the hot list.
Yeah, absolutely. He thought he was going to get out of it for a while, but hey, we got around to him. So, but Mr. Bouie, talk to us about your journey in education. Why did you pursue a career in education from the beginning?
All right. I ultimately began, the traditional educational history.
Okay.
I had a grandfather that was a teacher, principal of the classroom, ended up being back in a teacher. And
okay.
I can give him the credit for it, I guess.
Okay.
Is, the story my mom and dad tell is when I was born, most people think, oh, you get a ball, you get this.
Right.
I got a pencil.
Okay.
So that's the story that runs in the Bouie household is my grandfather put a pencil in my hand when I was born. And from there, we shall say the rest is history. But it took, I had great experiences in the small town in upstate New York that I grew up in.
Okay. All right.
Town of 8,000 people up in the snow belt. So you talk about those snowstorms, that's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
But I just had a school of educators and teachers and families and coaches that really just said, hey, look, no matter what goes on in the world, here's school, here's what we can do.
Okay.
Everything was about what can you do with your future? How can you attain what you want to do? How do you want to do it? What are the routes to go about it? So between the just down-to-earth great people that I've always grown up with, the support and the guidance that I received at home from mom and dad, aunts and uncles, grandparents and such, and then the environment that, our school district created with our building leaders, coaches, and families, it just it lent itself to a very easy career of saying, I love what I go to school to be a part of and learn.
Right.
So maybe I can be the person that helps ensure that for many generations kind of after I'm gone out of the classroom as a student.
Okay. So would it be fair to say you had a great experience?
Very much so.
I always
very
talk
much
about
so.
the Youngstown Excellence Experience. I always talk about, what experience do we provide for our kids? And honestly, I had a great educational experience as well. And I love school. A lot of people say, oh, I hate school. I love school because we had great experiences. It sounded like you had very similar experiences growing up.
Oh, and guilty as charged. Like you say, love school. I love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite moment as an educator is the light bulb moment. It's when someone or some child or whoever you're working with, they get it.
There you go.
Everything you're trying to put down on the paper, into their brain or into the universe, it makes sense and it all lines up and they see the light. That's still my favorite moment to the day. I love that as an educator.
Well, and I know, you definitely, I know you were a teacher and then you've been an administrator, principal, and those type of things. Let's talk a little bit about something maybe outside education, but kind of still is in education. Mm-hmm. You also have a background in athletics. Talk to us a little bit about your experience as a athlete.
I knew you were going to bring that up. And I will say that my athletic career is definitely, it's from family. I mean, I have athletic mom and dad and uncles and did great things. But that athletic experience also drove my academics. And here's how I'll help you grasp that. And even give you a good anecdotal story that most people don't know. So I went through high school, good athlete, 4-star athlete, well, not 4-star, but I played 3 sports. When you're 6'4", 215 pounds in high school, you can do a lot of things that most other kids can't.
Right.
So I did. I had my good fun, and when it got down to the end of it, it was choosing between.
It was all good, clean fun, folks. Good fun.
Clean fun. Yes.
All right.
Choosing between football and baseball.
Yeah.
Basketball was my dad and uncle's sports, and they ran the whole Western New York in their time. But mine was football or baseball, and ultimately I ended up breaking my leg 4 minutes into my senior year in high school.
Okay.
Making a tackle, broke my leg. One of my buddies got knocked over, and he landed on my leg, broke it. So that pretty much took football off the table, and then it just went to baseball. And I was God-given the ability to throw the ball 90 plus miles an hour. So in high school, I was clocked about 92 miles an hour, had a nasty breaking ball. And, was developing the other pitches, but that ultimately led me to the ability to have the opportunity to get drafted out of high school. So I was drafted in the 33rd round by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Okay, all right.
So the athletics, it posed a lot of things. So being drafted out of high school also kind of set me up for success because it gave me the access to some scholarship opportunities for college.
Absolutely.
My parents and I always talk about, like, hey, if it wasn't athletics, I'd probably be a really interesting military career guy.
Okay.
Just the way it is. Because my grandfather was also a former Marine.
Okay,
so it skipped a generation, but I would have went down that route. But irregardless, having the opportunity to get a full ride, I had two schools to choose from, and ultimately I chose St. Bonaventure, the Atlantic 10, the Bonnies. But I remember receiving a phone call. So when I pitched in high school, there was always 5 scouts behind the backstop with radar guns every pitch.
Yeah.
Because I was that kid that would start off 88 miles an hour, and I'd finish the game 120 pitches in, throwing 92. It was interesting.
Okay.
I didn't realize it at the time because I just went and had fun and did it. But so because I was able to do that, 5 scouts at the game. I remember getting a call right around the draft, so May, because in New York we went to school till the end of June. So it was right before the beginning of the draft in June. Get a phone call from the Houston Astros.
Okay.
And I'd been answering phone calls and letters and stuff, and guy called me and was like, "Hey, would you sign for $100,000?" I was like, So I thought about it. So and here's the logical component of how my brain works.
Talk to me.
And my parents always said a couple things. First and foremost, education was the most important.
Absolutely.
Because no matter what this body was going to give out on me with athletics, as we all know.
Absolutely.
But the mind would be there for a long time. So ultimately what it ended up, I got the phone call and the guy was like, "Would you sign for $100K?" And in my head, I did the quick math. All right. So I had at the time the scholarship opportunity on the table from Bonaventure. $18,000 for my freshman year. So I rounded up, that's 20 times 4 is 80. 4 years at $20,000, that's $80,000.
Yep.
Plus, I come out with whatever degree I was going to get, roughly $25,000, $30,000. Because we're talking about 1996, $2,000.
I got you.
So in my head, it roughly built out to about $100,000 is what I was going to be paying for college and coming out and getting a job. So in my head, I said, I want more than 100 for a signing bonus because ultimately I'm foregoing my college career and opportunity.
Right.
But then I also started asking for, hey, I want $100,000 to go back to pay for college. So between those two, the numbers just didn't work for $100K. So me thinking nothing, I said, no, I'm good. No thanks. I'm going to go to college and whatever. So, of course, I didn't realize the magnitude of that phone call as an 18-year-old. And I told my high school coach when I got into school that day, and he said, "What? You did what?" I said, "Oh, that's just what I did." He's like, and my parents were cool. They're like, "You make the decision. It's your life. You make the call." So I made the call, and I come to find out, I guess it was a big decision because shortly thereafter, on the announcements, my AD assistant principal get on and congratulates me. "Hey, Bouie turned down an offer of $100,000 to pursue his college and go that route." I was like, "Oh, good Lord."
Right.
So just at 18-year-olds, you get a call.
Right.
So in my head from the beginning, it was always use my brain because my body's going to give out first.
Use the game, don't let it use you. How many times have I said that on this show and in so many conversations? And I'm listening to you and I'm having flashbacks of a couple of young men that I had the opportunity and pleasure working with when I was in North Carolina. I'm not a big baseball guy. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Got a really good. My second father played in the major league, but I really don't know a whole lot about the game. But when I was in North Carolina, it's huge, even in the minority communities. And up here, not so much.
Correct.
But down there, and so I had 2 students while I was a principal down in North Carolina end up getting drafted. So I can attest to being at high school baseball games, scouts there and this and that. And then getting those calls and folks coming in and talk to the young men. Shout out to Demetrius McKelvey from East Columbus High School down in Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina, and Saquon Johnson from East Bladen High School, 2 guys that are now in their 30s, great young men doing great young things, but they used the game, didn't let it use them. They did end up going and playing, but then we had some conversations and making sure that they took care of their education beyond that as well. And so I'm just listening to you, stories ring true. And so using the game, not letting it use you, and then making sure that education, like you said, I've had conversations with Maurice Claret. Your body gonna give out at some point. Football is a great thing. Sports are great things, but at some point you gotta use something else.
And I don't know if you had a similar experience, but in my small town, did you ever have the experience where there were guys before you, great athletes, ended up being, Prop 48?
Prop 48.
Or 2 years in school,
2 years.
come back home, working somewhere else. So,
Yeah.
And that was something that I could not be.
Yeah, understood.
Couldn't be. So that the intellect part was even more important because I said, okay, I'm this guy, but I want to go off, get that 4-year degree, and if I choose to come back, great. But if not, I want to be able to come back and share my experiences, but also show that, not only was I a good athlete, I was a good student.
When we say scholar athlete, it means something. It should mean something. We want it to mean something. So we got several young men that we have that are playing college football right now, and before they went off, when I've had the opportunity to have conversations with them, I tell them, they all want to go to the NFL, and that's great, and I hope they do. But I tell them all the time, I really don't care whether you make it to the NFL or not. I want to make sure you get that degree. I want to see you walk across that stage in 4 to 5 years with that college degree because it means more than a whole lot of other things. Even if you make it to the NFL, shout out to another former student of mine, Larrell Murkison, that plays for the Los Angeles Rams. The thing I'm most proud about Larrell, though, is how he gives back to his community every day. This is a good opportunity for me to give some flowers to some young men that have really followed some of the same path that Mr. Bouie, and that's why I was glad to have him on today. So,
and I add so there's 2 flowers to add on top of that. One is in experiences that you're sharing with folks. First one, I did get the chance to play pro ball because I was drafted out of college by the Baltimore Orioles in the 22nd round.
There you go.
So I did get the chance, and I went and played pro ball, and I got paid to play a game, and it was a beautiful thing. But the other part, while your academics and that intellect is important, because the minute you set foot into that professional sport, you very quickly learn it is a business.
It is a business.
I came in with a draft class of 12 guys. There were 12 empty lockers. 6 weeks later, the Central American draft, the Dominican, the Mexican, the South American players all came in. 12 in, 12 guys out.
Yep.
And then the next year in June, same draft class, 12 guys in, 12 guys out. So you very quickly come to find out it is a business. So even more important that your body gives out, your clock runs out.
Oh, absolutely. Well, man, listen, that whole conversation absolutely tied into, what we're trying to build for our young people here in Youngstown and make sure they understand. We're going to pour a lot into our athletics when we become, our next episode is with our 2 nice new principals. We're going to pour a lot into our scholar athletes. We already do. And we want them to have great experiences on the diamond and on the football field and on the court, but we want them to make sure they use the game, not let it use you. So talk to me now. Let's get back to teaching and learning. How did you become the chief academic officer? What experiences led you to that and in that role, and what prepared you for it?
All right, so I had a variety of experiences. I have worked as a special ed teacher in high school with ED kids with behavior challenges. Then I transitioned to working in an alternative school. So I ran a program with 3 different various programs, kids that were alternate to expulsion, who ended up, all of them ultimately almost ended up graduating early. One kid ended up being an electrician.
Okay.
Was disengaged in school, but
Right.
electrical school worked with him. And now he's a licensed contractor in Northern Kentucky. Then transitioned from the alternative world back into public school world. So I worked in Canton City for a couple of years.
Okay.
And even in there, you talk about what led me to this role. So I had an incredible opportunity to have some pretty intense literacy and leadership training.
There you go.
So I learned about literacy, and I led a building in a state pilot. So in the state of Ohio was kicking off the whole science of reading work.
Yes.
I was one of 8 buildings across the entire state that my entire staff was trained. I was trained in the literacy work. So I did everything my teachers did, and I did the administrative training.
Right.
So that equipped me with the knowledge, then the skill set, and ultimately a little bit of the audacity to do something different
That's right.
than what has always been done. And ultimately what that led to is my building, year 3 of my principalship, we went from a D and jumped to a B. So no other school in the district had moved that drastically. But understanding the report card metrics, understanding literacy, and putting things in place tangibly, every one of my teachers knew where every kid in the building was, what they needed, what they were going to do next, and then how they were going to get there. And they could communicate it to families
Right.
and students. And then students were empowered to know, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I'm doing. So those experiences, and then getting the opportunity to come lead a building here in Youngstown. I started off as the McGuffey principal,
Absolutely.
which I say at the time was the biggest building in the district.
It was.
Bigger than your high school
It was.
by like 300.
It was.
But I got in the groove there, and the staff welcomed me in. They had a little tumultuous transition, but they were open arms, and when they saw the tactical approach
Right.
and how I wanted to lead us to accomplish things, and I said at the time, we hold the trajectory of this district because we have almost a third of all the scholars in Youngstown. And I said, if we can move the needle, we drive the district. So I think it's experiences like that, sometimes being bold and brazen and doing what needs to be done for kids.
I remember we were principals together for a minute, and we had some good conversations.
Yeah, so doing what's right by kids, supporting but also pushing and driving my educators on a day-to-day basis. They knew, hey, look, nothing was going to come through the doors and get them because I was guarding the front door.
Absolutely.
But that also carried into the expectations that they were doing in the classroom with our kids. High expectations, high rigor, and having our kids work harder than they did. So at the end of the day, the kids were wore out.
That's the way it should be. I tell people all the time, man, the teachers always come up to me or staff come up to me, I'm tired. And I'm like, I know we're tired, we work hard. But if the kids, when they get out of school, if they still, I could go to my niece's house or to my mom's house, and my nieces and they're out in the yard doing TikToks and stuff. And I'm like, y'all didn't work hard enough in school today. We got to work on that. So
I agree.
That's it. Well, you kind of mentioned, so you mentioned about science of reading, but you said that back when you were in Canton. How long ago was that, Mr. Bouie?
I've been here. I've been in the district. This is my 6th year. So that was, and we were doing that work 3 years. So it's going on a decade.
So, and you know how I say that. So you were doing the science of reading before it really was a state level wide thing, and
Correct.
before it came to Youngstown. So you as a building leader and as an educator have really been key in driving the science of reading and literacy and early literacy improvements for scholars for quite a while.
Yes.
Okay. I just need our public to know
Yes,
that.
indeed.
I need our district to know that we got people in this district that kind of know what they're doing, but they work hard with others and build those collaborative structures to make sure that we're making strides. In Youngstown.
And I would even to stack on that, I would say the state had an idea that they want. So it ran very much like a research project.
Right.
The leadership team at the time had the idea, and this is what they want to do. And this might be the state chief academic officer who she was leading the work, and this was the idea and the premise. We put it in place in our building, and some of the populations and the subgroups that aren't moving, where we saw the greatest growth, was the spark that said, listen, this is right for all kids.
Right.
And I will even say, so I had an urban district that was very brown and black. There were other districts very close to here who were doing the same thing, and their demographics didn't match ours except for poverty. But the same things kept coming out of all these sites. Powerful, intelligent, driven leadership, classroom leadership, and using the best, most evidence, research-based instructional approaches, and kids grew.
I always say the data don't lie. Don't always tell the whole story, but it doesn't lie. So, all right, Mr. Bouie, what would you say is the central vision of the teaching and learning department for the Youngstown City School District for the next couple of years?
The central vision is to prepare kids to be successful in life, and by any means, how we do it, meet the individual needs of the students on a day-to-day basis to ensure they achieve their dreams, or they have the opportunity to achieve their dreams. Because in essence, as educators, we are fertilizers for dreams.
I like that.
That's all we do. We fertilize dreams, because you can come to me wanting to be the greatest concert pianist.
Mm-hmm.
You may have never touched a keyboard in your life.
Right.
But if I know that that's what you have, then I know to leverage my relationship with you. I'm going to build and foster it by saying, I'm going to take your interest, put you in positions and opportunity to delve into it, test it all out. Once I get you hooked, then I'm going to start teaching you the tactical strategy of what you have to do. Do you have the basic fundamental skills? Once you get those fundamental skills, then I start pulling off those supports and say, go shine. And then it's knowing the right time to jump back in and pat you on the back, kick you in the butt, or say, hey, here's the next phase. Let me show you where you got to go from here.
Rigor, relevance, relationships. I think every episode, shout out to Doc Daggett, I think every episode, those three words and those three pieces come up because they are the game changer when it comes to school improvement. Basically education, period. And I like that fertilizer piece, but rigor, relevance, and relationship. If we, understanding that this is what I want, understanding this is who I want to be, and then let me help fertilize that. But at some point, I've got to increase that rigor to make sure that you really are going to achieve your dreams. But I will never be able to do that if I don't build a relationship with you to be able to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what are the areas that I need to work on. So I love when it all comes full circle in education, because those three R's, and I know he's tweaked it a little bit in his model, but I've been studying Dr. Dagger's work for 20-some years now. And,
seems to work.
And it seems to work. It seems to work. So
don't run uphill on ice if you can slide downhill.
That's it, man. So as the Chief Academic Officer, are there specific things that we're doing, curriculum-wise or initiatives that you believe will be game changers for the success of our scholars?
There always are. I mean, I give a huge shout out to the teaching and learning team, because they're the folks that they take a vision, they take the district's vision, they take what we agree to and believe in as leaders in that teaching and learning realm, and we help building leaders make it applicable and do the work in buildings. Support them. We ensure that teachers have the training, have the materials and resources that they need to be successful. So, I mean, we have a vision of continuing to drive the work, continuing to push the envelope, the exciting things that we have on the horizon. Number one, we're in year 2 of our math rollout. So our math program, forward thinking. So our leaders are starting to go out and have conversations with other districts and places.
Okay.
People are very interested in what we're doing, because we transitioned to the problem-based learning approach to teaching math. So we talk about our portrait of a graduate and those durable skills. Those are core things that we look at when we analyze and evaluate any curriculum, any assessment, anything. So that problem-based learning approach, it engages our scholars in a way that they talk about math, they talk about the relationships of concepts. I mean, let's go back to Greek mythology and back in the day in Rome. I'm drawing a blank now.
No, as soon as you started
Socratic method.
There you go.
It's the Socratic method. What with it? Socratic method has been used for hundreds of years, and is the dialogue back and forth between master, student.
Right.
The master drives that conversation by facilitating talking points in different directions as time goes. That's the foundational element of our math curriculum, math instructional materials. ELA. So next year we're going to roll out our elementary ELA. And we know that's the foundation of what we're trying to accomplish in schools. The essence of why were schools created? To create a literate populace, to be educated voters. So we're putting in place highly criticized, rigorous went through all the filters of the state based upon the data and the needs of our Youngstown scholars. So we have our ELA stuff that is going to roll out. Now, again, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So our math is starting to take roots, and we're starting to see some of the progress and demonstration of content mastery on standards.
Right.
Because really, that's what we're all measured on. Standard mastery, and can you master it? And then application of that knowledge. So we have ELA coming out next year, and it's going to be, it's intense one. It's going to be intense, but it is the foundational skills of what our scholars need. And ultimately, it's just best practices. I think one of the strongest things we have academically coming forward is the reconfiguration work. Because what it's ultimately going to enable us to do, and you can listen to the public service announcement from the city of the mayor of Cleveland, who was speaking to why it is a good thing for Cleveland metropolitan schools. But ultimately, what it does is that reconfiguration is going to enable us to offer more instructional opportunities for our scholars that previously they weren't able to have, which means classes that go, right now we have one of our buildings has access to forensics, a high school course that our scholars are loving.
Absolutely.
They're engaged in it. It's interesting to them. But imagine now if all of our high school scholars have access to forensics.
Absolutely.
All of our scholars have access to some of our highest quality math and science teachers, which is where we're seeing data lag across the entire state.
Absolutely.
But as I was reviewing some value-added data last year, we got some educators that are doing some really consistent, great work.
Absolutely.
So what if you want an athlete or a student to get better? Do you go to the coach that is not winning? How many people go to universities that aren't growing?
Right.
Versus you go to proven winners. Nick Saban had how many NFL guys?
Exactly.
Because you take natural raw ability and talent, which is what every single student in Youngstown has. All have the natural ability and raw talent. But then you have to mold that individualized talent and challenge them. So now all of our educators, all of our scholars are going to get our educators who have some of those greatest things.
And they're going to, like everything else, like in athletics and in football, we competition and we compete, and we're going to put the best of the best together, and they're going to drive each other and help each other. And not saying that people don't have good things going on already, but I believe that putting Venus Cataldo and Madonna Barwick in the same building is going to absolutely, and Vicki Briggs, our science department, it's going to be top notch. You put teams together like that, it's nothing but great things happening for our kids. So I just concur.
Put the brightest, the best, you put them together. And again, hey, our relationship is I have to push back.
Absolutely.
So if the reconfiguration wasn't the best interest for academics,
you would have told me so.
I would have told you so. But it provides us an opportunity to do something that we've had to get away from over time.
Absolutely.
Turn up the heat, create more opportunities, doubling down on what we're doing over here at Chaffin, enabling our scholars to have experiences to say, how do I connect that algebra class to what will help me make money in life?
Yes.
Because I've had a lot of conversations trying to run kids out of bathrooms standing there too long. And they end up start talking about money. And I'm like, hey, you realize that's algebra.
Absolutely.
You realize that's financial literacy. Oh, yeah, well, I want to do this. Okay, so there's a way that you get there, but go through your academic route, because then nobody can ever take it from you.
Regular relevance relationships. Even in the bathroom, we teach it. When they're standing around, we got to be teaching. That's what we do. All right, you mentioned earlier about your team. This is about teamwork. This is about leadership. Give a shout out to the folks on your team. So the work that they do.
YCST Teaching and Learning Team, you all are the hustlers, the grinders. You go get it. You get after it. They dedicate time, energy, effort, soul, tears, blood, sweat, and everything to what you do for kids. So please know, from my position in my life and my heart, I appreciate everything you all do every day, because without you all, our folks wouldn't have the supports in buildings every day like they do. Yep. We don't have a teaching and learning team that sits in an office.
No,
they sit in buildings. No. They sit next to colleagues. They sit next to teachers. Sometimes they're observing and most of the time they're observing and watching the instruction that's going on to provide that positive feedback. So, they're the ones.
Absolutely.
I facilitate the logistics, and I make sure the master plan, I remove barriers so that they can be successful. I'm the lead blocker as the tight end, let's say.
There you go.
I transition from pitcher and quarterback to tight end, and we double down to tackle and let them get to the second level and keep going.
And run belly. That's
All
it.
belly
That's
left, belly right.
All right. Talk to me about how your team measures success. You've talked a lot about, state measurements and then individual and local measurements, and we all know that we have about 80 different plans that we have to adhere to. But, we talked about why we're even in education, what we're trying to provide for our kids. How do you and your team measure success?
No, it's student outcomes based.
Okay.
Where are our scholars moving? If we're focusing it on math instruction, then we're looking and trying to monitor and observe our math scores improving.
Right.
And there's two realms of what we're always monitoring. There's growth, and then there's achievement.
There you go.
Growth ultimately can signify that what we are doing on a day-to-day basis is meeting the needs of that child. There you go. Growth. Achievement, that's that normed metric where I'm comparing you to everybody else, and are you able to take the knowledge of whatever you're gaining and apply it to solving a question? That is how all of our accountability metrics are established, are on mostly achievement. They compare us to other districts based upon our scholars achieving. Now, we know economically we're in a different situation. So, our scholars aren't getting all those exposure and experiences to life outside of school that other kids are. So the achievement part comes after long-term and gap-closing growth.
That's it.
So we monitor on the things that we are doing. Are we seeing a change in the assessment numbers of our scholars? Are we seeing the reduction of the needs to identify kids? Are we seeing the increased percentages of students reading goals? And if you look at our report card score, we get some consistent growth score every year.
Absolutely.
Our academic improvement plan things we were growing every single year. Did we need to do a little bit more?
Absolutely.
Yes, we did.
Absolutely.
And we never, it was never a question of, even if we get it, we still got to keep going.
Absolutely.
But we grow kids, and we talk about what is the goal. Our goal is to continue to make sure we get those student outcomes. But everybody, my personal goal for all of us is that every educator who works with a scholar knows what they need, how to get it to them, when they're going to get it, is it working, is it not, and what they're going to do next. Personalized learning.
Well, listen, we're going to wrap up with a few things. How do you define leadership?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would define leadership as it's a skill and ability to keep the end goal in mind, stay the course no matter the chaos, the challenges, the obstacles that come your way. But can you keep your eye on the goal? Can you strategically maneuver? Sometimes you got to move around. Other times you got to move a barrier to ensure you hit your end-all goal, which is the demonstration that our Youngstown scholars are just as smart as anybody else.
There it is. You hit something. I'll give a shout out to one of my Urban 8 superintendent cohorts, my man, Dr. David Lawrence, down in Dayton. He always said, keep the main thing the main thing. And that's what we're about. We're going to keep our scholars at the forefront of everything that we do. And so, Mr. Bouie, as we come to a close, anything that you want to say to our community, whether it be our scholars and parents or whether our fellow educators, what last words do you want to leave with Youngstown City Schools?
I would say to our community members and our families, push. Push your child, have extremely high expectations. We know there are times when stuff is difficult. I come from a divorced home, so I understand the nature of when things get tough, times get tough. But it was the resolve and the resiliency and the push and drive. Oh, a little heartfelt.
Yeah.
That my mom kept in me. She pushed, she drived. So it's that don't ever give up. And the same fervor and that you come at folks who are adults who cut your kids short, keep that same fervor and ferociousness in your children. Educators, stay the course. Be passionate. Make sure we're focusing on the kids because, again, as you said earlier, if the kids don't go home tired, we ain't working them enough. And they are tough kids. Absolutely. We have tough kids. Trust and believe they're tough. Push them to the brinks. Leaders, lead. Continue to keep that goal in mind, which is student success, and remove all those barriers. And leadership, lead. Stay the course, baby. Keep us belly left.
I don't know how to do it any other way, man. And I want to say thank you, man. This has been no disrespect to the other guests I've had on, man. This has been an episode I've actually been looking forward to. This has been something, kind of been pushing it down the road because I just feel like the timing was right now. We're at a cusp of our last report card and some other things and our whole push to get out of academic distress. We're on the cusp. And I'll say to this is my third year as superintendent. One of the things I'm most proud of is the team that I've built. And the team that we have around us, and people will say, well, what does that person do? I want you to know what everybody does. That's why we've had Mr. Kearns on. We've had Mr. Bouie on. Before Mr. Sherrati was here, we had him on. You're going to learn when Dr. Rock gets here, we'll have him on. You need to know the people that are working with your staff, your students, and your scholars, and what we're all doing, and that we believe in this city. We believe in Youngstown City Schools. We believe in these kids. And sometimes people think they know how to run a school because they went to school. And no disrespect, we can still learn, and we're always constant learners. I can speak for him. He's engaged in professional development on a regular basis. I'm engaged in professional development on a regular basis. So pushing ourselves allows us to push our colleagues, push our scholars, and hopefully you will help us push our scholars along, as Mr. Bouie said, so we can continue to prove people wrong that the kids of Youngstown are just as smart as anybody else, and they deserve everything that anybody else has, and we're not going to stop until we give them that. So until next time, Youngstown, Belly Left Leadership Podcast, we're going to keep working on the work, as my friend Deborah Aber Campbell over at East High School says, and we'll see you next time. Keep running it till they stop it.